5 years passed since the attack on the USS Horizon. Earth had changed. The survivors had made it home, bringing with them recordings of the unprovoked Vosarian attack. Overnight, old human conflicts seemed small and pointless. For the first time in history, humanity truly united against a common enemy. Admiral Karen Lewis stood at the window of her office in the new Earth Defense Force headquarters, built deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. At 53, she had gray streaks in her dark hair and lines around her eyes from too little sleep. Before the attack, she had been a physicist working on theoretical energy systems. Now she led humanity's largest military project. "Admiral, they're ready for you," said her aide. Lewis nodded and walked to the main conference room where the leadership of Project Nemesis waited. Around the table sat the brightest minds Earth had to offer. William Chen, once a chess grandmaster and game theorist, now the chief strategist for Earth's defense. Olivia Garcia, an engineering prodigy who had redesigned the power systems captured from the Vosarian shuttle. And a dozen others, all working toward one goal: survival. "Show me what you've got," Lewis said as she took her seat. Garcia stood first. She was young, barely 30, with intense eyes that rarely blinked. "We've completed the prototype for the shield disruptor." She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared over the table, showing a device about the size of a car engine. "Based on the technology we recovered, we believe this can destabilize Vosarian energy shields for approximately 12 seconds, enough time for our weapons to penetrate." "How many can we produce?" Lewis asked. "With current resources, 200 within 6 months. "Not enough," Chen interrupted. "My models suggest the Vosarians will return with at least 50 capital ships. Each would require multiple disruptors." Lewis frowned. "Options?" An older man with a weathered face spoke up. "We've had a breakthrough in our Antarctic facility." Dr. Frank Winters had been studying the biological samples recovered from the Vosarian boarding parties that died during the Horizon attack. The Vosarians have a unique sensory system. Their 4 eyes don't just see visible light, they detect quantum fluctuations. It's how their technology achieves such precision. "And how does that help us?" Lewis asked. "Because," Winters smiled, "it's also a weakness. Their brains can't filter out intense quantum noise. We've developed a weapon that creates a localized quantum distortion field. For humans, it's harmless. For Vosarians, it's like being hit with a sensory overload that causes temporary paralysis." Chen leaned forward. "How temporary?" "About 5 minutes. But that's not all." Winters nodded to his assistant, who placed a small device on the table. "This is a quantum entanglement disruptor. It interferes with their ship communications. They rely heavily on entangled particles for instant communication across vast distances. We can cut off their ships from each other." The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. These weren't just defensive measures. They were potential game changers. "How did you figure this out?" Lewis finally asked. "The Vosarians made a mistake," Winters explained. "When they captured our people, they didn't bother hiding their technology or biology. They thought we were too primitive to understand it, let alone use it against them. Their arrogance will be their downfall." Lewis stood and walked around the table. 5 years ago, they attacked us without warning. They took our people for experiments. They thought we would cower in fear." She looked at each person in the room. "Instead, we've used every second to prepare. Humanity has always been at its best when pushed to the edge. Now we push back." The meeting continued for hours as they refined their plans. Not just weapons, but strategies. The Vosarians had conquered hundreds of species across their history. They followed patterns, used the same tactics that had always worked for them. But humans were unpredictable. They would use that. Meanwhile, in a secret medical facility in Singapore, Dr. Laura Bennett worked with the survivors from the Horizon. Most had recovered physically, but the mental scars remained. Bennett specialized in trauma recovery. "How are you feeling today, Mr. Vasquez?" she asked the former chief engineer. Peter Vasquez had lost an eye during the Vosarian experiments. Now he had a cybernetic replacement, one of the few pieces of alien technology adapted for human use. "Better," he said quietly. The nightmares are less frequent. And the memories, any more clarity? Vasquez nodded. I remember more about their ship layouts. I've been working with the defense designers. He rubbed his cybernetic eye absently. The Vosarians kept talking about how adaptable humans are. They were fascinated by it. They tested how quickly we could solve problems, how we responded to stress. They were studying us, Bennett said. No, Vasquez corrected her. They were afraid of us. They've conquered species that are stronger, faster, even smarter in some ways, but none that adapt as quickly as humans. None that work together like we do under pressure. He leaned forward. That's why they attacked immediately. They recognized something in us that frightened them. Back at the Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Lewis received an urgent message. The Deep Space Monitoring stations had detected multiple vessels entering the outer solar system. Their energy signatures matched Vosarian technology. How many? She asked the communications officer. 63 ships, Admiral, much larger than the scout vessels from 5 years ago. This appears to be a full invasion fleet. Lewis took a deep breath. Send the alert. Activate all defense systems and contact Project Nemesis leadership. It's time. Across Earth, people received the news. In 5 years, cities had been partially evacuated, with many people moving to underground shelters or rural areas. Critical infrastructure had been hardened against attack. The planet had transformed into a fortress. In orbit, the newly built Earth Defense Fleet took position. 27 ships, each armed with technology that didn't exist 5 years earlier. They were smaller than the approaching Vosarian vessels, but they carried humanity's hopes. On the bridge of the EDF flagship Defiance, Admiral Lewis addressed the fleet commanders. The enemy believes they're returning to find a frightened, primitive species ready for conquest. Instead, they'll find humanity united and prepared. We've spent 5 years getting ready for this day. She looked at the tactical display showing the approaching Vosarian fleet. They pushed too far. Now we push back. Throughout the solar system, hidden weapons platforms activated, quantum disruptors powered up, and humanity prepared for the fight of its existence. The Vosarians were coming, but this time Earth was ready. The stars looked different from this far out in space. Commander Alan Richards stood on the observation deck of the USS Horizon, Earth's first deep space exploration vessel. After 6 months of travel, they had finally reached the edge of known space. This was what humanity had dreamed of for centuries, to reach beyond their solar system and touch the stars. Beautiful, isn't it? Lisa Morales joined Richards at the viewport. As the ship's diplomatic officer, she had spent years preparing for this moment. First contact with an alien civilization. More than I imagined, Richards replied. Any updates from the science team? They've detected artificial signals from the third planet. Definitely intelligent life. Morales couldn't hide her excitement. We're not alone anymore. Richards nodded. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, but he felt a knot in his stomach. Everything would change after today. The bridge crew worked with focused energy. Chief Engineer Peter Vasquez monitored the engines while Communications Officer Diane Clark adjusted their broadcast signal. They had prepared first contact messages in mathematical sequences, a universal language they hoped any advanced species would understand. Transmission ready, Commander, Clark said. Richards took a deep breath. Send it. The message, a series of prime numbers followed by basic atomic structures and a greeting in multiple Earth languages, traveled across space toward the alien world. Then they waited. Something's happening, said Ensign Joe Miller from the sensor station. Multiple objects leaving the planet's orbit. They're moving toward us. The crew watched as 7 sleek vessels approached the horizon. They were unlike anything humans had built. Smooth, almost organic-looking ships that moved with incredible speed. They're beautiful, Morales whispered. Richards studied the approaching fleet. Something felt wrong. The way they moved, spreading, out to surround the horizon, it reminded him of predatory behavior. Yellow alert, Shields up, but weapons remain offline. Let's not appear threatening. Commander, we're receiving a response, Clark said. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. I don't understand it, but the computer is translating portions. They're calling themselves the Vosarians. The main screen flickered to life. The creature that appeared made the bridge crew gasp. The Vosarian had grayish-purple skin stretched over a face with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Its mouth was small and lipless. Greetings, Richards said, stepping forward. I am Commander Alan Richards of the Starship Horizon, representing the United Earth Alliance. We come in peace and friendship. The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. When it spoke, the words came through the translator in a flat, mechanical voice. Unknown vessel. You have entered protected space. Identify species origin and technological capability. Morales stepped forward. We are humans from the planet Earth. We are an exploratory vessel with peaceful intentions. We wish to establish diplomatic relations with your people. The alien was silent for a moment. Humans, unknown species designation. Technological assessment in progress. The screen went dark. They're scanning us, Vasquez reported. Very powerful scans going right through our shields. Richards frowned. Can we block them? Negative. Their technology is far beyond ours. Commander, Miller shouted. Energy buildup in the alien vessels. They're powering weapons. Richards felt cold fear rush through him. Red alert. Full shields. Try to hail them again. They're not responding, Clark said, her voice shaking. Why are they doing this? Morales asked. We did nothing threatening. Before Richards could answer, the ship rocked violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Direct hit to our starboard section, Vasquez reported. Shields failing. We can't take another hit like that. Richards gripped his command chair. Evasive maneuvers, return fire. The horizon twisted away from the alien fleet, but the Vosarian ships moved with impossible speed, staying with them easily. The human vessel fired its defensive weapons, but the energy pulses dissipated harmlessly against the alien shields. Another blast hit the horizon, sending crew members flying across the bridge. Smoke filled the air as consoles exploded. Engine. Room hit, Vasquez shouted over the chaos. We're losing power. Get everyone to the escape shuttles, Richards ordered. Prepare to abandon ship. Commander, they're deploying some kind of energy net, Miller warned. They're trying to capture us, not destroy us. Richards felt a chill run down his spine. Being destroyed in space was one thing. Being captured by hostile aliens was another nightmare entirely. Clark, send an emergency message to Earth. Tell them everything that happened here. Morales, gather all our first contact data. The rest of you to the escape shuttles. Move. The crew ran through the damaged corridors. The ship shuddered again as another blast hit. Behind them, strange sounds echoed. The Vosarians were boarding. At the shuttle bay, chaos reigned. Half the shuttles were already damaged. Richards organized the evacuation, counting heads as crew members boarded the remaining shuttles. Where's Vasquez? He asked, realizing the chief engineer was missing. Engineering section was cut off, a bloodied technician explained. At least 20 crew members trapped there when the bulkhead sealed. Morales grabbed Richards' arm. We can't leave them. Another explosion rocked the ship. We have no choice, Richards said, the words bitter in his mouth. If no one survives to warn Earth, everyone dies for nothing. The final shuttle launched, just as alien creatures poured into the bay. Through the viewport, Richards watched in horror as the Vosarians swarmed through his ship, capturing everyone who couldn't escape. The 3 surviving shuttles fled the battle, their small engines pushed beyond safety limits. Behind them, the horizon was dragged into the hold of the largest Vosarian vessel. Course set for Earth, the pilot reported. At maximum speed, 3 months travel time. Richards nodded grimly. 3 months in cramped shuttles with limited supplies, but they had to make it, had to warn Earth. They attacked without provocation, Morales whispered, still in shock. Why? I don't know, Richards said. But they made a mistake. He looked at the faces of his surviving crew, seeing the same determination in their eyes. They pushed us too far. In the Vosarian research vessel, Peter Vasquez and the other captured humans were lined up for inspection. The aliens moved among them, scanning, prodding, taking samples. Vasquez watched as his shipmates were separated into groups. Interesting specimens, a Vocerian scientist noted. Unusual adaptive capacity. Physical resilience is remarkable for such a fragile species. Threat assessment? Another asked. Minimal. Primitive technology. No significant defense capability. The scientist examined Vasquez closely. Begin detailed examinations. Full physiological and psychological stress testing. Determine adaptation limits. As they led him away, Vasquez remembered Earth history. How often humans had been underestimated by other humans. Now aliens would make the same mistake. You have no idea what you've started, he whispered to himself. The Vocerian fleet entered Earth's solar system with confidence. Their scout mission 5 years ago had shown humans to be primitive and disorganized. Their commander, war leader Kraz, expected an easy victory. His ship led 62 others toward the blue planet. Status report, Kraz demanded. Approaching Earth orbit, war leader, his second replied. We detect primitive defense vessels. Their energy signatures are unusual, but pose no threat to our superior technology. Kraz's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of satisfaction. Prepare the boarding parties. Remember, we need live specimens for the Biological Research Division. On the EDF flagship Defiance, Admiral Lewis watched the approaching alien armada. The Vocerian ships moved in a tight formation, exactly as William Chen had predicted they would. They always use the same tactics, Chen had explained during planning sessions. They've conquered so many worlds without resistance that they've become predictable. Lewis took a deep breath. Are all ships in position? Yes, Admiral, her communications officer replied. Defense fleet is ready. Quantum platforms are armed and tracking. Lewis nodded. Signal all ships. Execute Operation Nemesis. Throughout the solar system, hidden platforms activated. Positioned behind moons within asteroid fields and in Earth's orbit, these devices had a single purpose: to disrupt the quantum entanglement the Vocerians relied on for their shields and communications. Quantum disruptors firing in 3, 2, 1. Across space, invisible waves of energy pulsed outward. On the Vocerian ships, alarm signals blared. Shield systems fluctuated and failed. Communication networks between vessels collapsed. What's happening? War leader Kraz shouted as his bridge lights flickered. Restore shields. Impossible, his technology officer replied, 4 eyes wide with fear. Some kind of quantum interference. It's affecting all systems. Lewis watched on her tactical display as the Vocerian fleet's tight formation broke apart in confusion. All ships, commence attack. Target their weapon systems and engines. The Earth Defense Fleet moved forward. Though smaller than the Vocerian vessels, they carried weapons designed specifically to exploit the aliens' weaknesses. They fired precise shots at the now vulnerable ships. They've adapted our technology, Kraz realized with shock. How is this possible? They were primitive. On one of the Earth vessels, the destroyer Relentless, Captain Samantha Reyes led her crew into battle. Reyes had lost her brother in the original Horizon attack. For 5 years, she had trained for this moment. Target locked on their command. Ship, her weapons officer reported. Fire, Reyes ordered. The Relentless launched a specialized missile. Instead of an explosive, it carried a quantum distortion device. When it struck the Vocerian ship, it didn't cause physical damage. Instead, it flooded the vessel with quantum noise. Inside, the Vocerian crew collapsed in agony as their sensory organs overloaded. Their 4 eyes, evolved to detect quantum fluctuations, now became their greatest weakness. Across the battlefield, Earth ships deployed similar weapons. The once mighty Vocerian fleet fell into chaos. Ships collided with each other as their crews struggled to function. Others drifted helplessly, all systems disabled. War leader Kraz fought to stay conscious as pain seared through his brain. This is impossible, he gasped. They were just primitives. His second managed to reach the communications console. We must retreat, Send the emergency signal to the homeworld. No, Kraz shouted. No species has ever defeated a Vosarian invasion. We will not be the first to retreat. But it was too late. The remaining functional Vosarian ships were already turning, preparing to flee the solar system. On the Defiance, Admiral Lewis watched the tactical display. 70% of the enemy fleet disabled or destroyed, her officer reported. The rest are attempting to retreat. Lewis considered her options. Letting them escape meant they would return with a larger force, but pursuing them meant venturing beyond Earth's defenses into unknown territory. Admiral, Chen spoke from beside her. If they report what happened here, the Vosarians will adapt. Our advantage of surprise will be gone. Lewis made her decision. Signal Captain Reyes on the Relentless. Her ship is fastest. She is to pursue the retreating Vosarians and prevent them from reporting back. Captain Reyes received the orders with grim satisfaction. Plot an intercept course, she told her navigator. We're going hunting. The Relentless broke formation, accelerating after the fleeing alien vessels. 2 other Earth ships joined them, the Swift and the Pursuit. Together they chased the Vosarians toward the edge of the solar system. They're entering some kind of faster-than-light travel, Reyes's science officer reported. Reyes smiled. Perfect. Activate the tracking device. 5 years earlier, humans had no concept of faster-than-light travel. Now, thanks to studying Vosarian technology, they had not only understood it but improved upon it. The tracking device locked onto the quantum signature of the fleeing ships. We can follow them, Reyes said. Prepare for FTL jump. This would be humanity's first intentional faster-than-light journey. The 3 Earth ships activated their drives, following the Vosarians into the unknown. Back on Earth, Admiral Lewis addressed the Defense Council. The battle is won, but the war has just begun. Captain Reyes and her task force are pursuing the survivors to prevent them from warning their homeworld. Peter Vasquez, now serving as a technical advisor, spoke up. The Vosarians will be in shock. No species has ever defeated them so thoroughly. That gives us time. Time for what? Someone asked. Time to take the fight to them, Lewis replied. Humanity has been on the defensive for 5 years. Now we go on the offensive. The council erupted in discussion. Some argued for strengthening Earth's defenses. Others supported taking the fight to the enemy. We can't just wait for them to return, Lewis said, silencing the debate. Based on what we learned from the prisoners, the Vosarians have conquered hundreds of species. Many of them might join us if they see the oppressors can be defeated. Elsewhere in space, Captain Reyes and her small fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel. Ahead of them, the damaged Vosarian ships approached a massive space station. That must be a regional command center, Reyes said, studying the sensor readings. They're transmitting data. Orders, Captain? Her first officer asked. Reyes's eyes narrowed. We can't let them report what happened at Earth. Prepare boarding teams. We're going to capture that station. It was a bold plan, perhaps even foolish. But humans had always been known for their audacity. As the Earth ships moved silently toward the Vosarian station, Reyes thought of her brother and the other victims of the first attack. They pushed us too far, she whispered. Now it's our turn. Captain Samantha Reyes studied the Vosarian space station through the viewscreen of her ship, the Relentless. The massive structure hung in space like a metal spider, with docking arms extending in all directions. Damaged Vosarian ships clung to several of these arms, still making repairs after the battle at Earth. Their defenses? Reyes asked her tactical officer. Similar to their ships, Captain. Energy shields and weapon systems, but they appear to be running on reduced power. Our sensors detect over 2,000 life forms aboard. Reyes frowned. 2,000 Vosarians against her crew of 120, plus the smaller crews of the Swift and the Pursuit. The odds weren't good. Captain, her science officer called out. I'm detecting non-Vosarian life signs as well. At least 5 different species, all concentrated in the lower levels. Prisoners, Reyes said quietly. She remembered the reports from the Horizon survivors, how the Vosarians collected specimens from every world they conquered. Her communications officer turned from his console. Captain, The swift in pursuit are standing by for orders. Reyes made her decision. A direct assault would fail, but humans had always excelled at finding another way. Tell both ships to hold position behind the moon of that gas giant. We're going in alone. She turned to her first officer. Prepare the adaptive camouflage system and assemble a boarding team. Dr. Nathan Rodriguez had developed the adaptive camouflage system by studying how Vosarians perceived quantum states. It didn't make a ship invisible. It made it appear to be something else. In this case, one of the damaged Vosarian vessels limping back to the station. Camouflage active. Captain, the operations officer reported. We're transmitting Vosarian identification codes recovered from the battle. The Relentless approached the station slowly, like a wounded animal. Reyes held her breath as they neared the docking arm. They're responding, the communications officer said. We're being directed to docking port 7. They're asking about battle damage and casualties. Send the prepared response, Reyes ordered. The message, created using voice patterns from captured Vosarians, reported critical damage and requested immediate assistance. The docking arm extended to meet their ship. With a gentle bump, they connected to the station. Boarding team to the airlock, Reyes ordered. Remember, our primary mission is to prevent them from sending warning to their homeworld. Secondary objective is gathering intelligence. Rescuing prisoners is tertiary. Reyes led the boarding team herself. 20 soldiers in specialized armor designed to resist Vosarian weapons. Each carried a quantum distortion device, small enough to be handheld, but capable of incapacitating any Vosarians nearby. They moved through the airlock and into the station. The corridors were tall and wide, designed for the larger Vosarian bodies. Strange symbols covered the walls, and the lighting had a purple tint that made human eyes strain. Life signs, Reyes whispered to her scanner operator. 3 Vosarians, approaching from the left junction. Reyes signaled her team to take cover. As the aliens rounded the corner, one of the soldiers activated a quantum distorter. The device emitted no sound or light visible to humans, but the effect on the Vosarians was immediate. They collapsed, their 4 eyes rolling wildly as their sensory systems overloaded. Secure them, Reyes ordered. 2 soldiers quickly bound the unconscious aliens. Which way to their communications center? She asked. Her technology specialist consulted a small device. Based on power signatures, that way, he pointed down the right corridor. About 500 meters. They moved quickly through the station, disabling any Vosarians they encountered. Most never saw them coming. The quantum distorters worked perfectly. Finally, they reached a sealed door. The symbols on it matched those from intelligence reports. Identifying command centers. Breach it, Reyes ordered. 2 soldiers placed small charges on the door. The resulting explosion was small but effective. As smoke filled the corridor, the team rushed in. Quantum distorters active. Inside was the nerve center of the station. A dozen Vosarians collapsed as the devices activated. Reyes moved quickly to what appeared to be the main console. Lieutenant, Kelly, get to work, she ordered her communications expert. Find any transmissions about Earth and erase them. Kelly connected a human device to the alien console. For 5 years, human scientists had studied Vosarian technology. They couldn't replicate all of it, but they had learned to interface with it. Captain, Kelly said after several tense minutes, I found the outgoing transmissions queue. 3 messages about the Earth battle were pending, waiting for authentication from higher command. I've deleted them. Any messages already sent? No. Captain, it appears this station needs permission from the homeworld before sending strategic reports. Reyes felt relief flood through her. Earth's secret was safe for now. What else can you access? Kelly worked the console. I'm into their main database, star charts, fleet positions, species reports. There's too much to download in the time we have. Focus on anything about Earth or humans, Reyes ordered, and look for information about the other prisoners here. While Kelly worked, Reyes received a report from the team guarding their entry point. Captain, station security is responding to the breach. Multiple Vosarians approaching from 2 directions. Hold them off as long as you can. Use the narrow corridors to your advantage. Her scanner operator suddenly straightened. Captain, I'm detecting human life signs, lower level, section 21. Reyes hesitated. Her mission was clear: get the intelligence and get out. But leaving humans behind was unthinkable. How many? At least 5 human signatures, Captain, and dozens of other species. Reyes made another decision. Dixon, take 3 people and get to those human signatures, free them if possible. As Dixon's team departed, Kelly called out from the console. Captain, I found something. They're developing a biological weapon specifically designed to target the human genome. Reyes looked at the alien symbols and images on the screen. Can you download the data? Already doing it. But there's more. It looks like they've been studying humans since before the Horizon encounter. They've had contact with us for at least 20 years. This revelation hit Reyes hard. The Vosarians had been watching humanity for decades before attacking. Captain, her security team called over the comm. We can't hold them much longer. Kelly finished downloading the critical data. I've got everything I can about Earth humans and their weapons programs. Time to go, Reyes said. Signal Dixon's team to meet us at the ship. As they left the command center, Reyes had one more idea. She placed a small device on the main console, a virus developed to attack Vosarian computer systems. What's that going to do? Kelly asked. Cause a cascade failure in their containment systems. It should destroy their biological weapons lab. They fought their way back through the station, using quantum distorters to clear paths through Vosarian security forces. Near the ship, they met Dixon's team, along with 7 humans in ragged clothes and a dozen alien beings of various shapes and sizes. Horizon crew? Reyes asked, recognizing the tattered remains of Earth uniforms on some of them. A thin man with a cybernetic implant on his face stepped forward. Some of us. The rest were captured from other human ships that ventured too far from Earth over the years. The aliens are prisoners like us. Get everyone aboard, Reyes ordered. As the Relentless detached from the station, alarms began blaring throughout the structure. The virus was working, causing systems to fail across the station. Signal the Swift in pursuit, Reyes told her communications officer once they were safely away. Tell them mission accomplished and that we're bringing home guests. She looked at the former prisoners being treated by her medical team. One of the aliens, a blue-skinned being with 6 limbs, approached her. You have done the impossible, it said in broken English learned from human prisoners. No one defeats Vosarians. We just did, Reyes replied, and we're not finished yet. Admiral Karen Lewis stood before the gathered representatives of 17 alien species. The large meeting room aboard the Earth flagship Defiance had been designed to accommodate beings of various sizes and atmospheric needs. Some breathed through special masks. Others floated in anti-gravity fields. All had one thing in common. They had suffered under Vosarian rule. 6 months had passed since Captain Reyes returned with the rescued prisoners and valuable intelligence from the Vosarian station. That mission had changed everything. The freed aliens revealed that the Vosarians had conquered hundreds of worlds, ruling through fear and superior technology. For too long, each of us fought alone, Lewis addressed the gathering. The Vosarians kept us separated, made us believe we were the only ones resisting. Today that changes. A tall, slender alien with pale blue skin, a Nexari diplomat, spoke up. Your species has achieved what none of us could. You defeated a Vosarian battle fleet, but the Vosarian Empire spans thousands of worlds. Even united, we cannot hope to match their numbers. Lewis nodded. We don't need to match their numbers. We need to break their will. She gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a star system with 12 planets orbiting a red sun. This is the Vosarian home system, Lewis explained. For the first time in their 1,000-year empire, we have brought the fight to their doorstep. The alien representatives murmured among themselves, some with shock, others with hope. What do you propose? Asked a reptilian being from a world called Drastes. William Chen stepped forward. A coordinated strike. Not to destroy their civilization, but to show them they are not invincible. Each of your worlds has resistance fighters. If they all rise up at once, while Earth forces strike at the Vosarian homeworld, their empire will fracture. They will retaliate with genocide, warned another alien. They have done it before. Peter Vasquez, now serving as Earth's liaison to the alien coalition, touched the cybernetic implant where his eye once was. The Vosarians follow. Patterns, they expect fear and submission. When faced with something unexpected, they hesitate. He pointed to his implant. During my captivity, I learned much about their society. The Vosarian military elite rules over their own people as harshly as they rule over conquered worlds. Many, lower caste Vosarians suffer just as we do. We can use that. In the command center of the Earth fleet, Captain Reyes reviewed the battle plan one final time. 30 Earthships, now joined by vessels from 12 other species, prepared for the jump to the Vosarian home system. It would be the largest coordinated attack in the history of the galaxy. All ships report ready, Captain, her first officer said. Reyes nodded. Signal Admiral Lewis, we jump in 5 minutes. The plan was daring, perhaps even foolish, but humanity had always taken risks when facing extinction. Better to die fighting than live as slaves. On the Vosarian homeworld, High Commander Zul received disturbing reports from the Outer Defense Network. Strange energy signatures appeared at the edge of the system, signatures that matched no known species. Display visuals, he ordered. The screen showed hundreds of ships appearing from faster than light. Travel, ships of different designs from different worlds, all worlds that should have been conquered and submissive. Impossible, Zol whispered. In 1,000 years, no coalition had ever formed against the Vosarian Empire. Subject species were kept isolated from each other precisely to prevent this. High Commander, his aide reported, the Earth vessels are leading the attack. Zol's 4 eyes narrowed. Earth, the primitive world that had somehow defeated a battle fleet, the primitives who had raided a regional command station. Now they had united the subject worlds against the Empire. Launch all defense forces, Zol ordered. Signal the planetary defense grid to prepare for bombardment. But the attacking fleet did not move against the planet. Instead, they targeted the orbital shipyards and military installations. Earth vessels using technology that should have been beyond them disabled Vosarian defense platforms with precision strikes. And then came the broadcast. On every Vosarian communication channel, on every screen across the homeworld, appeared a message, not just in the Vosarian language, but in the languages of all conquered peoples. The face of Admiral Lewis appeared first. People of the Vosarian Empire, she began. We do not come to destroy you. We come to end your military's reign of terror. The Yabar broadcast shifted to show Vosarian prison camps, experiments on captive species. Then it showed lower caste Vosarians, treated little better than the conquered peoples. Your military elite has lied to you, Lewis continued. They claim their cruelty is necessary to protect you. They claim other species are inferior and dangerous. Today we prove them wrong. The broadcast switched to show the alien coalition, 17 different species working together, fighting alongside humans, not against them. We offer you a choice, Lewis said. Continue this war, which will bring destruction to all our worlds, or join us in building something better. Throughout the Vosarian Empire, on hundreds of worlds, resistance fighters received the signal and rose up against their oppressors, not with hatred, but with a message of unity that many Vosarians themselves found compelling. In the lower cities of the Vosarian homeworld, protests erupted. For too long, the lower castes had suffered, while the military elite lived in luxury. The broadcast had given them courage, showing them they were not alone. In orbit, the battle raged. Earthships took heavy damage but pressed their attack. Captain Reyes's Relentless targeted the Vosarian military headquarters using the quantum disruption technology that had proven so effective. Their defense grid is down, her tactical officer reported. We've opened a direct path to their command center. Reyes nodded. Send the boarding team. Unlike the station raid, this boarding party was not just humans. It included members of all 17 species in the coalition, Their mission: capture, not kill, the Vosarian High Command. When High Commander Zul saw his headquarters breached, he prepared for death. He expected the primitive humans and their allies to execute him, as Vosarians would have done to defeated enemies. Instead, they took him prisoner. They treated him with the very thing Vosarians had never shown others: mercy. 3 days later, the fighting stopped. The Vosarian military elite, faced with revolution at home and united resistance abroad, surrendered. Not to humans alone, but to a coalition of species they had once thought inferior. In the peace negotiations that followed, Admiral Lewis insisted on fair terms. "We will not become what we fought against," she told the gathered representatives. The cycle of revenge ends today. The Vosarian Empire became the Galactic Cooperative, with all species, including reformed Vosarians, having equal voice. Earth, despite its technological youth, became the headquarters of this new alliance. Not because humans were stronger or more advanced, but because they had proven something unique: the ability to unite diverse peoples against a common threat and then show compassion in victory. As Commander Alan Richards, now a diplomat, explained to a former Vosarian officer, "You pushed us to the brink of extinction, expecting us to crumble. Instead, we pushed back, not just with weapons, but with everything that makes us human: our adaptability, our determination, and most surprisingly to you, our capacity for forgiveness." The Vosarian looked at Richards with 4 confused eyes. "Why show mercy to those who showed you none?" Richards smiled. "Because that's the true strength of humanity. We fight fiercely when threatened, but we understand that lasting peace comes not from domination, but cooperation. You pushed too far, and we pushed back. But we stopped pushing when we'd made our point. That's a lesson your empire never learned in 1,000 years of conquest." Across the galaxy, a new era began, one where different species worked together rather than conquering each other. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Not the strongest or most advanced, but perhaps the only species capable of turning bitter enemies into allies.